Hello. This week we're taking a look at a game that you guys have been telling me about for a little while and warning me about. This week, yes, we are taking a look at Undertale. A game by two-man development studio Toby Fox. This game has caused a lot of people to become a little bit emotional. It's even responsible for some full-on cases of the feels. But look at me. I am a manly man with something resembling a beard. I can take it. Bring it on, Undertale. Let us begin our dark adventures in the underworld. In Undertale, you play as a young child exploring the unknown, making friends, all in a quirky and colorful world with some interesting sorry. That is Earthbound. But you can't really blame me for making the mistake here. You could definitely tell that Undertale wears its Earthbound inspiration on its sleeve. They use some similar art styles featuring a lot of color and interesting sort of quirky landscape. They have a very similar combat style using a turn-based first-person style, and even share a lot of narrative themes, with the story being somewhat darker than it outwardly appears, creating this sort of disconnect. The game opens to its backstory. We're told that humans and monsters once fought a war, and that monsters lost and were sealed underground behind a great barrier. Sometime later, your character falls into a pit and finds themselves in these deep ruins. From here, we begin our strange adventure through the underground to find our way home to the surface. Is that a carrot? Am I fighting a carrot? Is that a beet? Like, what the shit? Did he just tell me to eat my greens? Guys, I'm just as confused as you guys are. That is weird. But let's start by talking about how you fight things. Now, I mentioned earlier that it shares a lot in common with Earthbound. You can attack enemies physically by playing a little bar minigame at the bottom of the screen to do damage to them and eventually kill them, or you can act in order to try and defuse a fight non-violently. And these two things have a pretty drastic effect on how you play the game. One is much more stat-driven, while the other is a little bit more on the puzzle-solving side. When enemies attack you, though, it's a whole different story. You get a little bounding box at the bottom of the screen with a heart representing your character at the center of it. During this time, you have to dodge the enemy's attacks, similar to a bullet hell shooter, which is actually kind of an interesting flip of the JRPG turn-based formula on its head. Requires a surprising amount of precision, dexterity, and awareness to manage to pull off completely. And there's all sorts of cool little things that can happen in here, from just straight up bullets flying around, to having to jump over platforms, to enemy monsters spawning in and throwing things at you. It's kind of an interesting system for dodging attacks, and lends itself really well to another aspect of the game: its agency. Killing an enemy will grant you EXP, just like any other RPG. Enough EXP will increase your level. In Undertale, this is called love. But using non-violence to end fights by sparing your enemy does not award any EXP, meaning you remain at level 1 through the entire game. This is countered by the bullet hell style attack mechanic, allowing even low-level players to defeat bosses and monsters by dodging their attacks. Choosing whether or not you're willing to kill or whether you want to spare your enemies has an enormous effect on how the game plays out. This is where a lot of Undertale's emotional weight comes from, because the characters in Undertale are actually pretty lovable. Pretty much all of them are interesting and fun to talk to. They have depth and personality. They have things that make them unique and likable and fun. But they're also largely boss characters or monsters you find out in the world. Killing them has a massive effect on the story, but also awards you and makes you stronger for your fights ahead. So you wind up in a really weird position, especially if this is not your first playthrough of the game. Especially if you are doing a genocide playthrough after having met all of these nice people. I have done things. Horrible things. It's this mechanical agency that creates Undertale's powerful narrative. Now, not just your choices, but your actions have a drastic effect on how things play out. How characters react to you, even change things between save files and alter the game permanently. It's a heavy story, one with some particularly dark twists and turns, and one not just experienced by, but driven and changed by how the player interacts with the game. It's something to check out, period. If you like video games at all, Undertale is most certainly worth the 6-hour playthrough. It's kind of tough to talk about a game like Undertale without kind of spoiling some of the things that make it really special. There's a lot of cool stuff in Undertale that I haven't really touched on that you should check out for yourself. play it. It's like a 6-hour game. It's a great time. And it's something that really is going to wind up being one of those indie classics that we continue to talk about for a long time. Give it a shot. Undertale, it's a good fucking game. Hey there, thank you very much for watching my video on Undertale. It was a real joy to make, and the game was a real joy to play. But if you like this video, please toss a like or subscribe for the channel. I do these videos twice a week, and I have a great time making them. And yeah, it goes a long way to supporting what I do here on YouTube. But thank you very much again, and you have a great one. I mean, no, I'm not crying. I'm not. There is no beard in existence that can resist feels of this magnitude.